and fans on a trip into dreamland.
Magic Johnson, he starts at center, plays forward and guard.
It's all over. The Boston Celtics are once again the world champions.
One of the greatest clutch performers of his generation has done it again.
He does whatever he has to do to beat you.
Oh my goodness! The look in his face. The man wants a championship to finish this season.
Big shot Bob did it again.
What in the world is going on? All over. And there they go. They've won it again.
Word and Magic, a shot for the ages.
Jordan a drive. Hangs. Fires. Yes! It's tied again. I don't believe it.
These are the moments that define the great players.
West throws it up. He makes it. West throws it up and makes it.
Iverson for the lead. Robert Ory's greatest hits tour continues. You are watching what greatness is all about.
Pro basketball arrived with humble beginnings in 1946 with a new league called the Basketball Association of America. The first points were scored by an unheralded New York Knickerbocker named Ozzie Schechtman.
It was a simple give and go. I made the first basket of the game. Nothing elaborate, just a plain two-point basket. That's the way we looked at it.
The Philadelphia Warriors captured the first BAA championship, led by one of the pioneers of the jump shot, Jumpin' Joe Fulks.
They brought into the basketball fold a one-hand shot that was very seldom seen. Prior to that, most all the shots were two-handed shots.
Jumpin' Joe. Joe can shoot with either the right hand or the left hand. He was the great talent at that time. He was the Michael Jordan at that era.
In 1949, the BAA merged with a rival league to form the National Basketball Association. The league's original dynasty was the Minneapolis Lakers, who featured the game's first dominating big man, George Mikan.
Mikan was very important towards the beginnings of the game to popularize it because they were able to popularize him as a superstar.
It was a period that, in my mind, sticks as Mikan dominating everything. George and the Lakers were, anytime you beat them, it was something special.
When I played with my teammates, we would pack the arenas. No matter where we played, we'd have a full house. And so we had a great impact. At least I did on the league, and I hate to say that, but it happens to be true.
Overwhelming opponents, Mikan was a three-time NBA scoring champion, and he carried the Lakers to 5 championships in 6 years, including the league's first three-peats.
It was sort of nice to take the basketball court and have the announcers say, the Minneapolis Lakers, the world champions. And that's quite an accolade, and we try to live up to it.
The Minneapolis Lakers, perhaps the greatest professional team in history.
In 1950, the NBA was revolutionized by the breaking of the color barrier as 3 African-American players integrated the league. The Boston Celtics' Chuck Cooper was the first to be drafted. Nat Sweetwater Clifton was the first to sign a contract, joining the New York Knicks. And Earl Lloyd, who spent most of his career with the Syracuse Nationals, was the first to play in a regular season game.
People have asked me, did you plan a career in the NBA? And I very explicitly tell them no. I mean, how can you plan a career, in a sport where you had no predecessor? I mean, Chuck Cooper and Sweetwater Clifton and myself became the predecessors.
But 1950 was a landmark year for another reason. It brought 2 new arrivals to Boston, a feisty coach named Red Auerbach, and a flashy guard whose showmanship earned him the nickname the Houdini of the Hardwood, Bob Cousy.
Hi there. Bob Cousy has dazzled countless fans with his thrilling brand of basketball. Down to Cousy. Cousy drives in, dribbles by a man, and lays it in.
If George Mikan was the first great star of the NBA, then Bob Cousy was the second great star in the NBA. He was the great draw. He did things with the basketball that hadn't been done before.
I certainly was aware that my style of playing was attractive to fans in those days. I mean, what I was doing 30 years ago now, every 12-year-old is doing in every schoolyard in the country. But I was getting all the attention in the 50s because I was the only one doing it.
Another great performance by Bob sees a masterpiece of twirl and overhead dexterity.
Cousy was the cornerstone of Auerbach's master plan, but many doubted whether the coach could ever build a champion.
The first 10 or so years of his professional coaching career, this is the guy who can't win the big one.
But Red would erase that reputation and change the course of NBA history with one bold move. In 1956, he acquired the draft rights to a college center named Bill Russell.
I was a perfect fit for them because my game consists of doing things that made my teammates effective. If a guy's not a good defensive player, here's what you do. You approach him this way and send him to me. I'll be waiting for him. Just send him to me.
Russell was the ultimate team player, and he was something new and startling and very subtle.
He made shot blocking an art.
He would shut down the basket, completely shut it down. Every shot went up, he took it away. You couldn't get the layup because if you went for the layup, invariably Big Bill was going to get it, slam it down your throat.
I went around my man, go to him for a layup, and he blocked a couple of shots on me. And then the next time I got around him, I missed a layup looking for him.
With Russell controlling the backboard, we were in high gear with the up-tempo game, and we were blowing those suckers out of there.
Led by Cousy, Russell, and his fellow rookie Tom Heinsohn, Boston won its first NBA title.
High-scoring Hawk Bob Pettit drove on another Celtic rookie, Bill Russell. Russell blocked the shot, ran up court, and finished off a give-and-go by jamming the ball home. With 1 second left, the Hawks missed 2 shots in close, and the buzzer sounded to end the game. Bill Russell jumped for joy, and the Celtics dynasty was born.
It was a challenge to go out there and look down and see the Boston Celtics at the other end and know that you better be at the top of your game or it could be a long and embarrassing evening.
And Pettit would be at the peak of his game the next season when Boston and St. Louis met again for the 1958 championship.
Every Celtic burst was answered by an unstoppable Bob Pettit. With a record 50-point performance, Pettit was having the best game of his career. This day belonged to St. Louis.
Pettit had 19 of his team's last 21 points in Game 6, and the Hawks took the title.
As the buzzer sounded, jubilant fans mobbed their hero Bob Pettit. The St. Louis Hawks had made their mark in basketball history with their first and only NBA championship.
But as the 50s drew to a close, the Celtics won their second NBA crown in 3 years, and it was clear to the entire league that Boston was the team to beat.
I said, now they're after you. Everybody's after you. You gonna let them take it away from you?
Though the Celtics ruled the NBA as the 1960s began, their reign would be challenged by young stars who were ready to transform the league. They included Oscar Robertson, who brought unparalleled versatility to the guard position. Sharp shooting Jerry West, who earned the nickname Mr. Clutch. And his Laker teammate Elgin Baylor, who brought a new dimension to the game with his acrobatic moves.
The collection of guys that came along at that time really changed the league. And it was tremendous for basketball, no doubt about it.
Still, the Celtics remained atop the league, racing off with the first 2 championships of the decade. But in the 1962 finals, it looked as if the up-and-coming Lakers, led by Baylor and West, might be ready to break through.
4 seconds, listen to them count it off. The Lakers have done it! The crowd is standing at their seats. They are not fighting to get out as usual. They are saluting this Laker team as a lead.
The Lakers would push the Celtics to the limit. And late in Game 7, LA had the championship within its grasp.
5 seconds left in the game. Timeout, score's tied at 100.
We took the ball out of midcourt. I ran up and got the ball to the top of the key. And I looked for Jerry West, and unfortunately, he wasn't open. So my second option now is Frank Selvey.
Frank Selvey, who was one of the best shooters in the league, ended up with his favorite shot from the corner, about 18 feet.
He's wide open. He got the ball squared away for the jump shot to make us the world champion.
Watch this final play. It'll be Selvey again. A big moment. He does not make it. Russell the rebound, and this ball game goes into overtime.
It hit the rim and kicked up in the air. The game ended, and we go to overtime. And Boston won 110 to 107.
It's all over. The Boston Celtics are once again the world champions.
It was always Jerry West or Elgin Baylor. All of a sudden, Frank Selvey's got to win the game.
By the way, I still call Frank all the time, long distance. He lives in South Carolina. When he says hello, I say, "Nice shot, Frank," and hang up on him. I won't let him forget it.
But the seemingly invincible Celtics still had to contend with one unstoppable player. Wilt Chamberlain was dominating the NBA like few athletes in any sport ever had.
He was such an overpowering physical figure that he could rule the game.
I had to go out there and make a statement, you know what I'm saying? I had to go out there and let them know that, you know, hey, I'm the man. And you guys can have fun, do what you want to do, but I'm ready to take over this game. This game is mine.
He averaged 50 points a game one season. That's his average, 50. Every game.
On March 2nd, 1962, Wilt did the unthinkable.
Whoever believed that anyone would score 100 points in one ball game, it was done tonight by Wilt Chamberlain.
And when Chamberlain went head-to-head with Bill Russell, it became one of the most compelling rivalries in all of sports.
Go over the history of the NBA, the first 50 years, that's probably as dramatic a matchup as you've ever seen any time. It was like two titans of the game meeting. You'd have headlines, Russell versus Chamberlain, and you know, the papers and the fans and everyone played this up.
Though Wilt was shattering records, he couldn't topple the Celtics, who ended his season in the playoffs 3 years in a row. But in 1965, it seemed that Chamberlain's time might have come. His 76ers pushed Boston to the brink in the Eastern Division Finals, as Game 7 would come down to the closing seconds.
I scored the last 10 points. We were behind, I scored 10 points, and we had a few seconds to go, and we were about ready to dethrone them.
The Celtics are leading 110 to 109. There are 5 seconds left.
We got a 1-point lead, and we eyeball out of bounds. I did not trust anybody else to take it out but me. I wanted to take it out because I'd make sure that I could make a good pass.
Russell he loses the ball off the support. Russell lost the ball off the support, and the ball goes to Philadelphia.
We go in the huddle, and all I could say was, guys, we got to do something.
Russell said, "These goat horns are growing about an inch a second on the top of my head. Someone please bail me out."
Greer's putting the ball on play. He gets it out deep, and Havlicek steals it. Over the Sam Jones. Havlicek stole the ball. It's all over.
Havlicek steals the ball. I said, Havlicek, how lucky can you be?
Grabs Havlicek. He hugs him. He squeezes John Havlicek.
I tell Havlicek, you know, I made you famous. Havlicek stole the ball. Havlicek stole the ball. I said, if I hadn't messed up, nobody would have heard of you.
The Celtics went on to win a record 8 consecutive titles. But in 1966, Red Auerbach announced he was stepping down as head coach. Yet even then, he continued breaking new ground by naming Bill Russell as player coach.
I think all of us were shocked when he appointed Russell to succeed him, because never had a black coach before, not just in basketball, but anywhere.
As the first Negro coach of a major league sport, can you do the job impartially without any racial prejudice in reverse?
Yes.
How?
Because the most important factor is respect. And basketball, respect the man for his ability, period.
He's got all the responsibility. I'm not going to sit anywhere near him. He is going to be the boss, and he's going to run the ball club.
Only Red Auerbach could have handpicked his successor and made it a black man in the middle 1960s. But it was still a risk in that if it didn't work, it was going to set so many things back.
And Russell's skeptics would have more reason to doubt him in his first year at the helm. Celtics would lose to their arch-rival Chamberlain and the Sixers in the Eastern Division Finals. And their long championship run had come to an end.
Well, the Celtics on the brink of defeat for the first time since 1956. Gamely trying, but they did not have it here in the second half.
Philadelphia won the title with one of the greatest seasons in NBA history, and Wilt had his revenge.
I'm glad I was a part of that team that brought them down. But you felt like also, well, you know, it's way overdue.
Every team in the league, a pattern of their team to bring down the Celtics, to bring down this dynasty. And we finally brought them down. We finally brought them down.
I can remember that game when we were eliminated, and the Philadelphia fans were chanting, "The Celtics are dead, the Celtics are dead," and they're finally dead.
It appeared that time had finally run out on the aging Celtic dynasty, but the heart of their mystique lay deeper than appearances.
One thing that we've always had as Celtics is mutual respect. And we think that's the most necessary ingredient for a winning combination.
I don't think that when players come to the Celtics initially, they believe all that pride and mystique and that type of thing. But with the Celtics, we always picked each other up.
The Celtics would return to the finals and reclaim the championship the very next season. But in 1969, they would finish with their worst record in 13 years. And though they would somehow manage to limp back to the finals, they seemed to face certain defeat against a powerful Laker team that had a decade-long score to settle. Plus, a dramatic new addition, Boston's familiar foe.
With guys like Jerry West and Elgin Baylor, I feel very, very happy that I've been traded to a team that I believe may stand a chance to go down the record as one of the best teams in basketball ever.
We all felt that we had the best team. We had the best record. We beat them during the season. We were the better team.
And even as they pushed the Lakers to a 7th game, the Celtics were met only with doubts.
I can't help but wonder, how do you feel about going into another 7th game, this time on somebody else's floor?
We've done it before.
We get back out for the last game. Jack Kent Cooke was the owner of the Lakers. He put out a sheet in all the seats. When the Lakers win the championship, the USC band would play Happy Days Are Here Again. The balloons in the rafters would fall down, and Chick Hearns would interview Elgin Baylor, Jerry West, and Wilt Chamberlain in that particular order. Well, I took this back to Russell.
When the players came in, I read it to all of them. I says, there are a lot of things that's going on, but one thing that cannot go on, the Lakers cannot beat us. It's not something that can happen. They can't beat us. But it's going to be fun to watch them get those balloons out one at a time.
Don Nelson made a shot that I've never seen in all the years of basketball. It hit the rim, and it must have gone up 15 feet and came right back down through the net. I mean, it was absolutely extraordinary.
No way should we have lost to Boston. Just no way. I mean, I still don't know how we lost to Boston. It's a mystery to me.
There was something about the Celtics that made it that they had to win. They willed themselves to victory that time. And then Russell walked off into the sunset.
And the Celtics, they have done it again. A spectacular finish.
Chris, I'm here with Bill Russell. Bill, this must have been a great win for you.
Exactly.
One more time. One more time.
I know it's hard to say what's in your mind right now, Bill, and it must have been a great win.
Boy, this is such a great bunch of guys, you know. It sounds all corny to start talking like that, but I told these guys before the game, I don't care what happens. I wouldn't trade you guys for any guys in the world.
As the 1960s came to a close, Bill Russell and the Celtics had won an astounding 11 NBA championships in 13 years. And they had done it in an era that marked the greatest influx of talent the league had ever seen. A collection of brilliant stars and one brilliant team had battled their way through the decade, and together had written an unforgettable chapter in NBA history. While the Celtics were the team of the 1960s, the Lakers were poised to stake their claim to the 70s. They had added Wilt Chamberlain, the game's most dominant force, to go along with West and Baylor. This time, it seemed, LA would not be denied. And in 1970, only the New York Knicks remained in their way. If the Lakers were a team of stars, the Knicks were simply a team.
No one of us was as good individually as all of us could be as a team, and we were all kind of points on a five-pointed star.
But LA's individual stars were up to the challenge. And in Game 3, West provided one of the great moments in finals history.
2 seconds, 1 second. West throws it up. He makes it. West threw it up and makes it over half court.
But the drama was just beginning. With the series tied at 2, it was already becoming a classic when disaster struck for the Knicks.
We got a whistle on the play, and Willis is hurt.
Knicks captain Willis Reed could only watch in Game 6 as the Lakers tied the series and seemed on the way to fulfilling their destiny. As Game 7 approached in New York, Reed's status remained a question mark.
Coming back to New York, 7th game, will Willis play? That's the question. Will Willis play?
Only when I went to the Garden did I found out that it was dubious as to whether he would play. So there goes the championship.
I remember just before we took the floor, I said to him, we only need you for a couple of minutes, big guy. And he said, if I can get out there, I will.
The big question is, will Willis Reed play tonight? There is tremendous doubt right now.
I looked at it as opportunity. For me, not to go out there to try to be a part of that and try to do whatever I could, whatever that was, and I didn't know what it was, then I would be letting them down, and I would be letting myself down. I wasn't gonna let that happen.
When he did that, we said, yeah, the captain is ready.
Willis not only inspired the Knicks with his entrance, he ignited them with his performance by scoring the first 4 points of the game.
Barnett to Reed on the forecourt, right side from 20, jumps, yes! Willis has hit on his first 2.
At that point, the whole team had been lifted several levels of belief in themselves.
Willis wouldn't score another basket, but he had done enough.
Frazier, down the lane with the floater, but it's good!
Following the captain's lead, the Knicks responded with a total team effort and went on to rout the Lakers, winning their first NBA title. The Knicks had set the tone for an unpredictable decade in which titles were up for grabs. The Lakers won 33 straight games on their way to the 72 crown, while Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's Bucks and Rick Barry's Warriors also grabbed their share of glory. There were 8 different champions during the 70s, and with no dominant team, the Celtics looked to prove that they still had their mystique. They met the Phoenix Suns in the 1976 finals.
Gives it up on the turnover. Silas has got you-know-who. Hondo.
With the series tied at 2, the Suns were reeling in Game 5, trailing by 16 at the half, but they would stun Boston with a furious comeback.
Behind Charlie Scott. Here's the ball back down the other way. Paul Westphal puts it in.
The game went into overtime, and then a second extra session, with neither team giving an inch. It would eventually be called the greatest game ever played.
Trying to drive, shoot from the corner, it's good! 15 seconds to go, Phoenix down by 1. Here's a steal by Westphal to Van Arsdale to Perry.
Harry. It won't go. Harry gets the rebound. Harry from the corner. Scores it. Curtis Harry scores it. 5 seconds to go. Oh, I don't believe it. I do not believe it.
The Suns' remarkable rally had given them the lead. And now with one last shot, the Celtics look to their veteran playoff hero.
Havlicek. He's coming around to the left. Shot is good.
But it would become a short-lived celebration for Boston.
They say there's 1 second left.
Now Phoenix found itself in need of a miracle.
And now we come to the end of the second overtime with a couple of the most incredible turnarounds I have ever seen. Won't start until it's touched. They'll have to throw it up. Garherd turnaround shot in the air. It's good. It's tied again. I don't believe it.
Garherd ties it. We'll go to the third overtime. Somebody up there is on our side.
But the Suns had no answers left in the third overtime as Boston captured the game for the ages and went on to win their 13th NBA title. While the Celtics symbolized tradition, the times were changing. The 1970s was an age of self-expression when off-the-court image seemed as important as on-the-court style, and both were wild.
That was vintage. Pistol Pete Maravich.
New stars were changing the game and becoming household names.
You had to have your own thing, and it couldn't be like Earl Monroe. You had to be Earl the Pearl Monroe. You couldn't be like Walt Frazier. You had to be Clyde Frazier, like Bonnie and Clyde.
The list of colorful nicknames included the Pistol and the Iceman.
They call him the Iceman, Mr. Cool.
There was the Big Dipper, the Big E, the Big O, and Tiny. But it was a legendary Dr. J, an ABA star, who became the trendsetter.
He would just fly through the air. It was such a thing of beauty because not only was it his ability to leap so high, but it was that throw that went with it.
Oh, man. Came to a point here, had to be about 9 or 10 inches. He'd fly down the court and it would blow just like his head was out the window.
When that afro started going back like that, it was bad news for the opposition.
In 1976, 4 ABA teams joined the NBA, and Julius Erving would take his afro, along with his amazing athleticism, to the Philadelphia 76ers.
Irving is absolutely unstoppable.
When Doc came, that like almost knocked me off, knocked me off my blocks. You got Doc, the doctor. Now this is the playground legend.
Without question, without any doubt, the absolute greatest forward that has ever put on a pair of basketball shoes.
If Julius was a sign of what was to come, Portland's Bill Walton was, in some ways, a throwback. Despite his counterculture image, he represented the game's most traditional value, teamwork.
Bill Walton loved the game of basketball. He was the essence of team play. He was a fierce competitor who wanted to win and would do whatever he had to do to win.
There's Walton looking over that shoulder. There's a shot clock on the turnaround.
These two opposing forces would collide in 1977.
That 77 championship series between Portland and Philadelphia was a perfect contrast. The individualism, the showmanship of the 76ers and the quiet, reserved teamwork of the Portland Trailblazers.
As the series began, it seemed that the Sixers' talent would be too much.
Well, that's one way to start a ball game. That gives you a tremendous lift, get the crowd going for you.
Behind their superstar, the heavily favored Sixers surprised no one when they jumped out to a 2-0 lead. But in Portland, Bill Walton would bring his team and their loyal fans back to life.
Walton on the lob. Oh, he got it in! Bill Walton got it in! Torchik and Gross. What a sequence for the Blazers! Walton again, twice in the basket. I can't believe that first play.
Block. Walton picked up by Lucas. Down to Johnny Davis. Drives the middle. Look at him go!
Walton led his underdog Trailblazers to 4 straight victories, completing one of the NBA's most stunning upsets.
Irving was there. Walton took it back with
The performance of the Trailblazers in the Final Four games was probably the best team basketball that I had ever been around.
Here we go, the inbound of McGinnis. Drive, stop, pump, shoot, short, no good, and the game is over! The Portland Trailblazers have won the World Championship.
I've never coached a better player, I've never coached a better competitor, and I've never coached a better person than Bill Walton.
I just want to make sure that the guy that took my bike, I started on my bike today sometime. I want to make sure that guy brings it back to me. I mean, it's like it's the only bike I have.
In 1979, 2 players entered the NBA as heralded rookies. Just 6 months earlier, they had met for an NCAA title, with Magic Johnson prevailing over Larry Bird in a celebrated matchup. Now, as they began their pro careers, neither player could have known just how much their destinies would be tied together, as their personal rivalry would define the decade of the 80s. Together, Magic and Bird brought a new wave of excitement to the league.
Magic Johnson, a 6'9" lead guard. Who ever heard of things like this?
Magic is straight down the middle. Still going, still going. Oh! Highlight film!
Larry Bird probably should have been a power forward. He was like the lead guard.
Advantage, Bird on the drive. Look at that pass. Oh, what a show!
These guys changed the game.
And each night, they seemed to do something sensational.
Larry Bird with a steal. Henderson back to Bird. That is Laker showtime basketball. The rebound to Bird. Look at that pass. Oh, what a show. Oh, show.
Magic wants it more. Dribble behind the back. Oh, what a play. Slam dunk.
They were also winning games in dramatic fashion.
Up fakes. Fires another three-pointer.
Oh, rise it up. 4 seconds, 3 down the lane to the hole. Reverse. He hits it.
The double team at Bird. Larry fake. All away.
Hits it. Unbelievable. 4 seconds, 3. Got to do something, man. 15-footer. The Lakers win.
But along with Magic and Bird, other great players would also arrive and put their own stamp on the league.
Look at the hang time. Look at the flying motion.
Led, of course, by Michael Jordan.
Here's Jordan down the middle all the way. Look at this crowd.
There was Isaiah Thomas.
Here's Isaiah. Let's see what we got.
And Charles Barkley.
Here comes Charles.
The decade would also feature a string of classic moments, including Michael's display in 1986 against Boston, when he established a new playoff scoring mark.
63 points, and you're looking at an all-time record.
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar broke the league scoring record in 1984, fittingly with a sky hook.
It's up. Let's go. Let's go. In the history of professional basketball, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Isaiah Thomas is hurt down on the court underneath the basket. I couldn't tell what happened.
Despite a severely sprained ankle, Isaiah would return to Game 6 in the 1988 Finals and heroically lead his Pistons with 43 points, including a Finals record 25 in the third quarter.
He is just showing so much heart and determination.
But ultimately, the reason Bird and Magic stood apart from the rest is because they won. And in the finals, they would each carve out some of the NBA's most indelible moments. It all started in Magic's rookie year. The 1980 finals between the Lakers and Sixers featured a matchup of basketball icons. The league's most valuable player, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and its most exciting player, Julius Erving.
Julius spinning it in. Incredible.
But in Game 5, the balance shifted to the Sixers when Kareem suffered an ankle injury.
5, but Kareem's hurt. Kareem turned an ankle. Kareem is hurt. I don't think Kareem is going to be able to go anymore right now. He's really in pain. They're going to take him right to the locker room. Kareem's going to the locker room.
It was a stunned moment for everybody. We were sitting there like, oh no, you know, not right now.
Boy, they would be in more than serious trouble without him.
With the Lakers leading 3-2, the series headed to Philadelphia. But with Kareem unable to make the trip, things looked bleak for LA in Game 6.
I mean, Kareem, the man isn't there. They got this rookie in charge. You had to give the Lakers a 1 in 10 chance would be at best.
We actually didn't find out Kareem was not going to Philly until we got to the plane the next morning. When we found out the news, everybody's head just dropped. Like, oh man, it's over. So I sat in Kareem's seat. All the guys were in their seats, so I said, you know what? Never fear, because Magic is here, and we're going to win this game.
You are looking live at the sold-out crowd at the Spectrum in Philadelphia. It is Game 6, the 76ers and the Lakers.
A young man by the name of Magic Johnson is going to start at center.
I talked to my dad the night before. I said, I'm going to go back to the way I used to play in high school. I'm just going to move inside, outside. I'm going to take the shots when they're there. I'm going to just do my thing.
Magic will come down the baseline, and Dawkins tied him up, scored, and send Magic to the line. Here comes the 20-year-old rookie down the middle. Dawkins went to him and scored and sent him to the line.
Everybody didn't see Kareem, and they said, this is an easy game. And Magic gave us the devil that day.
Magic comes inside, dishes, wants Wilkes, beautiful pass. Is he unbelievable?
I couldn't believe what I seen in Game 6. I mean, the kid, they say he was going to play center, and things he were doing out there was things that I always visualized I wanted myself to do. He completely dominated the game.
Magic's hot, and he knows it. Oh, what a pass to Cooper, who scores!
I mean, this is one of the most extraordinary single-game achievements in the history of sports.
The most valuable player is Magic Johnson. 42 points, 15 rebounds, and 7 assists. He starts at center, plays forward and guard, and leads the Los Angeles Lakers to a world championship without Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Magic had won a championship in his rookie season, and there was one player who was watching especially closely.
Every day I checked the paper to see how well he did. I knew Magic Johnson was the one guy that could get me to go that next level.
The following year, Bird would reach that next level. First, he led the Celtics back from a 3-1 deficit to beat the powerful Sixers in the Eastern Conference Finals.
Bird coming to the left. Stop and pop off the glass. It's gone. Boston leads 91-89.
Then he carried them to the NBA championship in spectacular style.
Follows his own shot. Oh, what a point. As soon as he shot it over, and they have won the series. It's all over.
It all seemed like fate as Bird and Magic split the first 2 championships of the 80s. But the story was only beginning. In 1984, they would finally play for the championship against each other.
They won the East, we won the West. So it's like everybody just get ready, sit back, and let's enjoy it.
Since he won in college, I wanted a piece of him in the pros. I wanted to beat him more than anybody I ever played against in my life.
Here's Magic off the mark. Lakers had several chances, and here's Larry Bird chucking down the court.
And Bird did get his revenge.
Larry Bird, I mean, he's doing everything.
As he would lead the Celtics past Magic and the Lakers in 7 games.
The Boston Celtics are the NBA World Champions.
I could never relax because I knew Larry was working. Whatever it is that he couldn't do, I knew he was going to work on it.
As if according to script, the '85 finals gave Magic an immediate chance at his own revenge.
Great assist for Magic Johnson.
And his victory couldn't have been sweeter. The Lakers became the first opponent to win a championship on Boston's parquet floor.
This man, Magic Johnson, played this season with a mission for the Lakers, and it's about to pay off.
Year after year, the 2 superstars pushed each other to new heights. In 1986, Bird won the title and his 3rd MVP award. In '87, it was Magic winning MVP, and the rivalry raged on.
Okay, can we proclaim Larry Bird the greatest player of all time? Okay, I wrote that story in 85, 86. Then we all watched Magic in 86, 87. Well, should we rewrite that now? Yeah, I think I probably wrote that story too.
Still, the final chapter remained to be written. In 1987, Bird and Magic seemed headed for another championship showdown. The Lakers breezed into the finals after winning 65 games, while the aging Celtics were getting all they could handle from the young and hungry Pistons. In Game 5 of the Eastern Conference Finals, with the series tied at 2, Isaiah Thomas would give Detroit a late lead.
Seasting bumps him a couple of times. Isaiah nails it top of the key with 17 seconds to go, and the Celtics call time.
It's Detroit by 1, 17 seconds, so Boston goes for the final shot.
On the left it goes to Bird. Bird guarded by Mahorn. Drives around him. Goes on in. And the ball gets knocked out of bounds by A. No, they call it the other way.
Thomas wants to get it in quickly.
And now there's a steal by Bird. Underneath the DJ. Lays it in. Right up 1 second left. What a play by Bird. Bird stole the inbounding pass. Laid it up to DJ. DJ laid it up and in. And Boston has a 1-point lead with 1 second left. Oh my, this place is going crazy.
They forgot about Larry Bird, that's all.
And so the finals would bring a rematch between Bird and Magic, one last battle for the ages.
When we caught them in 87, we knew they were hurt. We were younger, and we were fresher, and we had a little bit more firepower. But they still had Larry Bird.
And it was Game 4 that may have best epitomized their rivalry. With the Lakers up 2-1, both carried their teams down the stretch. In the final seconds, Bird would give Boston a slim lead.
Larry Bird with a big three-point bomb.
They up 1. Coach Riley called to play for Kareem. And I got it, and Kel McHale basically switched out.
I saw that Magic was going to, take the last shot. I could see it in his eyes. I could see him say, like, this is not happening. And so I got to go.
5 seconds to go. Magic with a hook shot. Scores with 2. And the Celtics trail by 1.
It was almost over. I mean, we had one last shot. We had 1 second on the clock, and I got enough room to get it off, and I thought it was in.
Bird fires it. And the Lakers have won.
Magic's just a great basketball player. He's the best I've ever seen, Unbelievable. I don't know what to say.
The Lakers went on to win the championship back in L.A. and added another in 1988, becoming the first team since Bill Russell's Celtics to repeat. And by the time the 1980s were over, Magic or Bird had appeared in every one of the decade's championship series, with L.A. capturing 5 titles and Boston 3. But they had not only dominated the league, they had also revolutionized it. And while Bird and Magic brought out the best in each other, they also brought a new spirit to the NBA. So in the end, after all their battles, these two rivals would always be united in history.
They played not just to focus the spotlight on them, but to raise the level of the game. I think they both understood that, valued it, and pursued it their entire careers, and they could not have gotten it to the level that each did without the other.
Being able to play against each other was the ultimate. I mean, our legacy is going to be tied together because he wants to beat me and I wanted to beat him.
I wish all players had an opportunity to play in the championship and play with the Lakers or the Celtics during that time. Then they understand what basketball really is.
While Bird and Magic defined the NBA of the 1980s, another superstar was poised to put his stamp on the 90s.
The inbounds pass comes into Jordan. Here's Michael at the foul line. A shot on Elo. Good! The Bulls win!
Michael Jordan's mission was to join the exclusive club.
Magic Johnson was here, he and Larry Bird was here. I was still here. And for me to get here, I had to beat these guys.
He wanted to prove his own greatness by surpassing one of the reigning icons, and his chance would come against Magic in 1991.
If the people in the Windy City thought there was excitement when Mrs. O'Leary's cow kicked over the lantern and started the Great Chicago Fire, wait till they see Magic and Michael Jordan against each other.
The opportunity was in front of Michael. The question was, could he seize it?
Everybody knew that it was coming. It's just when. When was he going to be ready to receive it and take it? And boy, did he receive it and take it.
Late in Game 2, Michael would stake his claim as heir to the finals throne.
Jordan. Oh, a spectacular move by Michael Jordan.
When he came down the lane, he just, went one way, put it in one hand, floated about a 5 more yards, said, well, I don't know. And then he went off against the glass. So it was his game tonight.
And by Game 5, it would be his series as well.
Final seconds, Magic's three-point attempt blocked. Pippen comes away with it, and the Chicago Bulls have won their first ever NBA championship.
He came up and snatched it. Here, give it here, Magic. It's my turn now.
With that, Michael and the Bulls had climbed to the top of the NBA. And Jordan would lift his stature even higher with another command performance in Game 1 of the '92 Finals against Portland.
Jordan for 3 more. Hits. Jordan for 3. He is hot. Woo! And a Jordan fires another 3. Oh, no! I don't believe it. 3-pointers from Jordan. What in the world is going on?
Here's Jordan for 3. Yes! Did you see that look? Michael indicating he can't believe it.
With a finals record 6 3-pointers and 35 points in one half, Michael propelled the Bulls to their second straight title. In the 1993 Finals, Chicago headed to Phoenix with a 3-2 lead. And after Jordan rallied his team in the fourth quarter, the Bulls would have the ball and the chance to claim their 3rd straight crown.
He's not Michael. I don't care. He's Jordan. Hey! Three-point play. You got Michael. Yeah.
But while the Suns were focused on Michael, the Bulls were making other plans.
Michael, 11 seconds. Across the timeline he comes, goes to Pippen.
Pippen breaks inside.
Well, Pippen got the snap.
They go to Grant. To Paxson. Paxson going for the win.
Here's Paxson for 3.
Yes! Hits the 3. That's the first score by anybody other than Michael Jordan in the entire fourth quarter.
It's all over. The Chicago Bulls have 3 straight NBA championships.
After the three-peat, Jordan decided to step away from basketball. The spotlight would shift to other stars, including Reggie Miller.
Sometimes I kind of thank Michael for leaving a little bit, and I think he definitely helped boost my career indirectly.
Reggie for 3.
Just an astounding shooting exhibition being put on by Reggie Miller.
In 1994, Reggie put himself on the playoff map with 25 points in the fourth quarter against the Knicks. He would torment them again the following year with another amazing display.
Miller for 3, and he got it. Reggie Miller with a clutch tray, and it's 105-102. And a steal. Miller retreats to the three-point line. Hits again. Tie game.
Others were making their mark on the decade, including the leader of Reggie's arch rivals, the pride of the Knicks, Patrick Ewing.
Starks with the drive. Ewing puts it down. The New York Knicks headed to the NBA Finals.
There was also the incomparable Charles Barkley.
Robinson on Barkley. It's his game to win. Barkley, 20-foot God want us to win the world championship.
I don't know if I go that far, Charles.
Oh, no, I talked to him the other night.
And Houston's dream center, Hakeem Olajuwon, a uniquely talented big man.
I tell you, Olajuwon has David Robinson just bamboozled.
In the 1994 finals, it was Hakeem's clutch defense in the final seconds of Game 6 that preserved the Rockets' victory as they went on to win the championship.
Starks for three, it's tipped, and it's knocked away, and the Rockets win! Olajuwon, Joe, Olajuwon.
The next season, Hakeem would set the tone for the finals against the Magic when he had another Houston victory right on his fingertips.
Give it to Drexler. Drexler driving. He goes. He puts it up. On the rim off. Tipped in. Tipped in. Tipped in by Hakeem.
And Orlando never recovered.
Had non-believers all along the way. I have one thing to say to those non-believers. Don't ever underestimate the heart of a champion.
But the former champ was ready to reclaim his throne. Michael Jordan was back in basketball, and in 1996, the Bulls became the NBA's marquee attraction with the help of a colorful addition.
Full extension trying to haul that in.
This is a rock star team. Everyone wants to follow the biggest show on earth.
Oh, it's like the Beatles have arrived on the scene. Jordan to Dennis Rodman, Harper to Pippen. Beautiful!
I mean, a lot of teams cannot handle the pressure of have to go out there and do what people expect you to do. And that's what this team is all about. This team won't let anything get in its way.
Stampeding to a 72-10 season, the Bulls shattered the NBA record for wins.
23 plus 33 plus 91 equals 4 trophies.
The Chicago Bulls have won the 96 NBA championship.
In 1997, a new challenger emerged from the West. League MVP Karl Malone and his Utah Jazz, making their first trip to the NBA Finals.
Stock, got it! Unbelievable! John Stockton! John Stockton! It's over! We're on our way to the World Championship!
But the Jazz would quickly come down to earth in Game 1. With time running out, Michael would add yet another moment to his growing list of finals heroics.
Michael hangs, fires, scores!
And it goes web! He knocked it in at the buzzer, Bulls win! How many times has he done that?
And in Game 5, Jordan became a profile in courage as he battled a stomach flu. But neither fever, fatigue, nor the Jazz could stop him.
Michael down court to the middle, right side, Pippen drive, hang too hard. Oh, by Jordan! What a play by Michael Jordan!
As a leader, you want to be there for your team. As long as I'm able to walk and run and shoot, I've always been there. Sick, it didn't matter.
MJ, this will be the guttiest performance maybe all time.
By sheer force of will, Michael lifted the Bulls to a 3-2 lead.
Back Michael, open three, yes! They lead it, 38 points for the Kings!
The one thing about Jordan that makes him, to me, the most remarkable athlete that I've ever seen is that he was always better than his height.
He also had the ability to bring out the best in his teammates, as he did in Game 6. And Michael would place the game in Steve Kerr's waiting hands.
6 seconds, 5, Michael in traffic to Kerr, 15-footer.
In 1998 would bring the last dance for Chicago's dynasty as the Bulls looked for their 6th NBA title. And their way once again was Utah, a team whose resolve matched Michael's.
You think I'm just back in the finals again just to be here?
You know, I'm back to win a championship, and it's going to be tough, but I'm looking forward to the challenge.
And the Jazz would give the Bulls one of their greatest challenges as they battled to tie the series in Game 6.
John Stockton with a cold-blooded three, and Utah takes the lead.
The Jazz were on the verge of forcing a 7th game. All they had to do now was hold off Jordan.
The Bulls in a must-score trip. Out front to the man, Michael Jordan. Jordan up top, fake left, go right. He's there, play it up, score it easily. Wow.
Michael brings them to within 1. Now it puts the pressure on the Jazz to score once again.
Malone to the post. Malone stripped by Michael to the floor, stolen by MJ.
Jordan's got it. The Bulls can win it right here. The Bulls can win it. Unbelievable.
17 seconds from Game 7 or from championship number 6.
Jordan to drive, hangs, fires, yes! He scores! The Bulls lead 87-86.
5.2 seconds left. Michael Jordan running on fumes with 45 points.
It's over. Bulls win the title. The Bulls are the world champs again. Oh my word, who would have thunk it?
The Chicago Bulls have won their 6th NBA championship. What a tremendous Game 6.
Oh my God, that was beautiful.
I'm just so happy to be a part of this. I mean, we just hopped on Michael's back, basically. The guy is a basketball god, and I'm glad he's on my team.
Congratulations. SHAQIEMOUSE.
The story of the new millennium can be traced back to 1992 and an exuberant rookie with an overpowering game, Shaquille O'Neal.
Now the Magic with a final shot chance. O'Neal runs the floor, takes it all the way.
Though Shaq's power and personality took the league by storm, many wondered when he would win a championship. It didn't happen in Orlando, and he moved on to Los Angeles, joining a high school phenom, Kobe Bryant.
Here we got a dribble drive, change of direction by Bryant, slam dunk. Woo!
He went up to the rafters before he decided to put somebody on a poster.
Did you see the move by the kid? That's Kobe.
But for 3 years, Shaq and Kobe came up empty in the playoffs.
And the Utah Jazz going to the Western Conference Finals.
The Lakers then hired the man who won 6 titles in Chicago.
Without further ado, the new coach of the Los Angeles Lakers, Phil Jackson.
Under the guidance of Jackson, the 1-2 punch of Kobe and Shaq would carry the Lakers to the league's best record in 2000. And they took a 3-1 lead in the Western Conference Finals before suddenly losing control of the series as Portland pushed them to the limit.
There will be a Game 7. Staples Center, here we come.
It's a one-game showdown. Winner, take all.
Not happy with their performance, that's for sure. But I think they understand that this is a war, and this battle tonight was lost. The war's not over.
Game 7, the Western Conference Championship on the line. The series is tied at 3 games apiece, and this afternoon it's put up or shut up.
But as Portland built a big lead, it seemed that Shaq's championship dream would be denied once again.
Now Smitty has it, 10 to shoot. A long 3 is in! Smitty with a dagger right through the eyes.
The Trailblazers have blown it open. The Staples Center is sitting in stunned silence.
This is a 15-point game.
But there was still 1 quarter left for Kobe and Shaq to save the season.
Shot blocked by Bryant, and Kobe controls in the corner.
The Lakers staged one of the greatest comebacks in playoff history. And through it all, it was Shaq who was carrying them in every way he could.
When you have Shaquille O'Neal making plays like that, that inspires the rest of the guys.
O'Neal has it right in the lane. The jump hook, back it in. The Lakers have taken the lead.
From 15 points down to knock it down to 13, 11, 9, 2, all the way back to this incredible comeback was one of the most amazing things you've ever seen.
And fittingly, Kobe and Shaq would add the exclamation point to this remarkable LA story.
Kobe's going to the basket, and I'm on the bench, and I'm jumping up and down. I'm like, oh, there's Shaq, there's Shaq.
Kobe on the move, lobs for O'Neal, and a dunk! Kobe Bryant worked into the lane, and Shaq hammered it in with the right hand.
That was probably the single greatest moment in Los Angeles sports history.
The Lakers are going to the NBA Finals for the first time since 1991.
And after going on to victory in the finals, a new powerhouse was born.
Yeah, get a look at the dynasty. This is the next one right here.
The Lakers rule the league, not just with their talent, but with their resourcefulness that helped them find the answers even when the situation seemed bleak.
He gets doubled, Shaq all over him. He gets away a fadeaway. He makes it with 4:10 left. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. 4:10 remaining in the fifth game. Here they go. They get it to Fisher. He scores! Derek Fisher scores at the buzzer.
And no Laker provided more late-game heroics than the man known as Big Shot Rob, Robert Horry.
Kobe Bryant on the move against Christie. In for the right, flips his shot up, no good. O'Neal lays it up, missed it. Ball tipped out to Horry, a straight on three. Good! The Lakers have won! Robert Horry's greatest hits tour continues.
Oh, no doubt about it. He's got to be getting a Grammy for that one.
Horry moved on to the rival Spurs, but didn't lose his magic touch. Tied at 2 in the 2005 finals, with his team down by 2, Robert would be called on yet again.
This is fraught with tension and apprehension.
I mean, it's the biggest possession I can remember in a long, long time.
You wear the slip. No three-point play.
Horry will throw in.
The player who throws in is frequently the player for whom the play is run.
He counts it on the bounce to Ginobili. Back to Horry. He shoots the three. Oh, my goodness.
Unbelievable. This guy is off the charts.
With 5.8 left, and the Spurs take a 1-point lead. And Big Shot Bob did it again.
I'll tell you the deal with Rob. Rob just hangs out the entire game. He does it all season long. He doesn't do anything. He doesn't feel like playing. He shows up sometimes. And then you put him in the fourth quarter in a big game, and he's like, okay, it's time to play now. I've been hanging out the entire season. It's time to play now. And he just turns it on. And as funny as that seems, it's just how it is. He doesn't want to show up. He doesn't feel like playing until it's a big game. Thank you. Robert Horry will be next.
Earlier that season, there had been another classic clutch performance. The Spurs had a big lead over their Texas rivals, the Rockets, but Tracy McGrady wasn't ready to concede.
All right now we have 1:09 to play, the 10-point Spur lead.
Here's McGrady for three. 35 seconds to go. And the Spurs now lead by 7. Bowen is all over McGrady. Foul is picked up. It's a potential 4-point play. Tracy McGrady from downtown. McGrady over Bowen for 3. Yes. Tracy McGrady cuts it to a 2-point lead. 11.2 to go. And Brown lost it. Here comes McGrady. No timeout committed. McGrady for the win. Yes! And the Rockets steal a game from the Spurs. Tracy McGrady with an incredible performance down the stretch.
McGrady had scored 13 points in the final 35 seconds, leading the Rockets to an improbable victory.
For all those fans that left, gosh, y'all missed a great game.
But in this decade, T-Mac is just one of many electrifying stars.
Dwayne Wade has created pandemonium with the go-ahead bucket.
Young LeBron James was revitalizing the Cavaliers, while Steve Nash won back-to-back MVP awards.
Nash with a gorgeous behind-the-back pass.
Yet, even with all the talent around the league, the Lakers still captured the headlines. In 2004, Shaq was traded to Miami, separating LA's duo. Now Kobe stood alone in the spotlight. And in January 2006, he would shine brighter than ever before.
Here's Kobe trying to move around Mo Pete, trying to put him up. Finally shoots, counted in the foul. Great hustle by Kobe. He's going to score. And dunk Lakers lead.
Well, that's 51 for number 8.
You talked about him being in one of those zones. Yeah. He's definitely in it right now.
He knew if you looked on his face, every shot was going in for him.
Oh, Kobe counted foul. Kobe's got 59.
I didn't feel like the basket was this big, but it was a different kind of a zone. It was like a relentless type of a zone.
By the time he was through, Kobe had reached a total surpassed only by the 100-point game of Wilt Chamberlain.
And an 81-point game.
Nobody believed it. You know, somebody got his phone out and checked it on the internet and said, yeah, he really had 81. It's amazing.
Ladies and gentlemen, you have witnessed the second greatest scoring performance in NBA history.
While Kobe achieved individual success, Shaq had another shot at the title in Miami. He would team up with Dwayne Wade, who led the Heat's dramatic comeback in Game 3 of the 2006 Finals.
Wade trying to find an opening, banks it in. 32 for Wade, but his team's still down by 11.
Don't count Miami out yet.
They have a chance as long as Dwayne's out there attacking the rim.
Miami went on to win the game and the series for their first NBA title.
And the Miami Heat are champions of the basketball world.
Our legacy is how we do it.
Got 4, baby. Going on 5.
And gang, after 82 games.
We leave you with a look back at some memorable moments from the 2006 playoffs, one of the most thrilling postseasons in NBA history.
Here comes George to Kobe Bryant. Bryant inside. It's good. It's good. Tie game.
Back close, stolen by Bibby. Ahead to Martin, to the rim. And the Sacramento Kings have won. Bryant for the win. LeBron to the hoop for the win! He's got it! It's over! The Cavaliers have won it!
It has been 30 years in 3 cities. The Clippers will advance to the second round of the NBA playoffs.
And you want to see Superman go into the phone booth and make the most of it? Wraparound joy for Miami.
They get it out of his hands. Hughes, Damon Jones puts it in! And the Cleveland Cavaliers advance to the second round. Diaw to inbound. Bell for the tie.
Raja Bell has been spectacular.
Shot clock at 19. Nowitzki against Bowen. Nowitzki right in the lane. Rolls it right to the rim. Lays it in and draws the foul.
Well, he's just having fun right now. He's got that baby on cruise control. The MVP just put the exclamation point on his mic.
Wade finding an open area inside, drives hard, draws the foul. Oh! Wade puts it in!
2006 NBA Finals, the Heat and the Mavericks.
Had it stopped by Wade. Wade, one-on-one with Nowitzki. Going to go the other side of Nowitzki, and a right-hand jam on the German.
Don't count Miami out yet.
Williams feeds it to Payton off to the right.
Payton, step around with 2 on the clock.
Payton shot. Got it! Pass inside to Shaq. 2-hand jam to Easel.
The Miami Heat, they've done it. They win their first championship in franchise history. 1, 2, 3, into Sean Elliott. He fires the 3. Comes to Chapman, almost overthrown. Chapman, long shot up. 1.9 left of regulation. Chapman hit it.
Last possession here, Rockets to win the game.
Oh, Tracy McGrady with 2.2 to play.
Gray will inbound. 1 second on the clock. Goes, it's over. A miraculous shot by Ralph Sampson.
3, 2, Michael falls, fires.
Yeah! Does it again!
And the Bulls have swept the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Rockets have the ball with the game tied at 6.7 to play. Drexler outside, Maloney, Johnson at the buzzer. They get it to Arena. 4 seconds, 3 seconds, 2 seconds, 1 second.
Yes! It's over! The Wizards have defeated the Bulls!
Charlie Ward inbounding on the right sideline. Houston pops out up top, down the lane, running jumper, and in!
The New York Knicks have become the second team in NBA history to knock off a number 1. Miller